When Criterion started working on Mildred Pierce, it was pretty exciting because we knew we were working with one of the great Hollywood classics. It was a big movie. And the fact that Warner Brothers entrusted Criterion with this title meant a lot to us. So we wanted to take out all the stops and really do this film justice. One of the great things about working at Warner Brothers is they actually have their own lab on the lot. And they have people working there that really understand film and film scanning.
My name is Michael Curtiz. I work for Warner Brothers Motion Picture Imaging, or Picture and Sound. I do film scanning, film out, and inspection of the film that comes in. Typically when we receive film, it's usually 30, 40, 50 years old, possibly even over 60 years. And what we end up having an issue with is it hasn't been checked, it hasn't been physical. No one's actually looked at the film in that many years. And what we're trying to do here is make sure that the splices are in good condition, that there's no perf damage, and make sure that it can get through a scanner. This is a laser graphics 4K scanner, the Director, and basically what it can do is it can scan nitrate that is shrunken, it can scan film that's in bad condition.
The stability of the film dictates how fast we want to go. If it's a super brittle element or something, we'll slow it way down as not to damage it. The advantage of the Director scanner is it has HDR, high dynamic range, so we're able to flash it once, twice, or 3 times.
By flashing it twice, we can get more detail out of the image.
When we started to work on Mildred Pierce, the first thing we did was go to the Warner Archive and see a bunch of intermediate positives, fine grains in the black and white world. They were all on safety film stock. They were made later, after the Nitrate era. Nitrate was film that was used prior to the early 1950s, and it was flammable, but it was gorgeous. Then we suddenly realized that we had an original negative, Nitrate, in the Warner Brothers archives. So we pulled the negative, we scanned the first 10 minutes of it, and we looked at it in the theater at Warner Brothers, and we all looked at it and said, wow, unbelievable. I mean, it was gorgeous. It had beautiful contrast, very little dirt, and it was stored well and kept well and looked glorious up on this big screen. And we said, I guess we should scan this too, because how can you look at this and not want to use it? Once we have all the scans of all the different 4K masters that we've created, we put them together and we start our digital restoration. Digital restoration lets us do things like fix scratches and dirt and all the abnormalities that film has that digital techniques can fix.
My name is Phoebe Harmon and I'm the lead restoration artist here at Criterion Collection. So this is the original camera negative with no processing on it. There's some chemical damage here on the left going into the optical. There's a huge tear. For this particular shot, because of that tear, I went and looked for a different element. The original camera negative has, I don't know, maybe 20 tears that are not on the fine grain. So in this case, I'm going to use the fine grain instead of the original camera negative. Each piece of film is degrading at its own rate in its own space and time. I love golden age of Hollywood films, so every time we work on one of these, Joan Crawford, that makes me very happy.
My name is Russell Smith. I do digital restoration. We have the original negative, which looks beautiful and is actually in really good condition. But there are sections that there's bad damage and where we have to replace from other elements. This is MTI, and it's not automated, it's hands-on, so we can go frame by frame looking for dirt and any sort of damage. There's an algorithm that takes from frames before and after and sort of tries to composite and make something that's like a Band-Aid fix. If you are doing this job, I mean, you have to just really, really care and actually pay attention to detail. And we want to present it as the filmmaker intended, and we try to do our best.
So now that we have these scans of both the fine grain and the original negative, we could actually pick and choose between places in the fine grain and the original negative to make our restoration from. So we used 90% of the original negative, and we pulled some shots and scenes from the fine grain. But there was a problem. When we looked at the last 10 minutes of the movie, which was Reel 6B, the quality difference all of a sudden stuck out enormously to us. And we said, wow, how come this looks so different from the rest? So what we found was in the original negative, Reel 6B, the last reel of the movie, looked like somebody replaced it with an inferior copy of 6B, so it led us on this search to find a better replacement for the last reel. Our first look was with Museum of Modern Art, because we were told by the Warner Brothers Archive that there seems to be a nitrate fine grain stored there that is something that might be worth looking at. This was important to us because we thought, well, if it was nitrate, it must be an early copy, not a safety copy made within the last 70 years, but before they stopped using nitrate film. So we pulled it in, we prepped it, we cleaned up all the splices, and we put up reel 6B, and lo and behold, it was actually made from the original negative. It wasn't 4 generations away from the first copy. It was 2nd generation, which was the best 6B that we were able to find.
This is actually the element identification. It's Mildred Pierce, reel 6B. It says picture negative because this is a print through from the original negative. So this is what the original negative would have said on it, but obviously it's white, which tells us this is a print of the negative.
These archives around the world that are holding film and keeping film and maintaining film at the highest levels is so important to film history and film preservation that we couldn't exist and do the job we do without the archives. When you see it now, you wish everything could have stayed nitrate because they used an exorbitant amount of silver. It just looks beautiful. And seeing Mildred Pierce either on the big screen or on Blu-ray is going to be a revelation for people.